Sir Garfield Sobers passed away yesterday, July 17th, at his home in Barbados, age 89, 10 days short of his 90th birthday. A huge loss for the sport. In cricket, if there's one man who can challenge Sir Don Bradman's claim as the greatest cricketer of all time without sounding ridiculous, it's Sir Garfield Sobers.
Origin story.
Gary Sobers was born with 6 fingers on each hand. One extra finger dropped off naturally before he turned 10. The other, at 14, he tied it off with a catgut ligature and cut it away himself with a sharp knife. When Sobers was just 5 years old, tragedy struck. His father, Shamon Sobers, a merchant seaman, was killed after a German U-boat torpedoed his ship off the coast of North Carolina during World War II. His journey into cricket began almost by accident. A police captain spotted his talent and recruited him to the police cricket club. But there was one condition. To qualify, the young Sobers had to join the police band and learn to play the bugle. The making of the 365 Sobers Test career didn't begin with instant greatness. Across his first 22 Test innings, he crossed 50 only a handful of times and reached double figures in just 18. His Test debut came not because he was the next superstar, but because Alf Valentine was injured. At just 17 years old, Sobers was drafted in as an emergency replacement. Then came one of cricket's most astonishing breakthroughs. His first ever Test century wasn't a cautious 100, it became 365 not out, then the highest score in Test history. Instead of gradually climbing the ladder, Sobers leapt straight to the summit.
He didn't just score a century, he shattered Len Hutton's 20-year-old world record of 364. No one before or since has announced their arrival quite like Sobers.
But the following year, the darkness returned. September 1959. Sobers was driving in England with his close friend and fellow West Indian all-rounder Collie Smith. A collision. Smith, just 26, died from his injuries 3 days later. Sobers was behind the wheel. He was fined for careless driving, a small penalty for a guilt he carried for the rest of his life. By his own account, cricket became a distant second to his grief for weeks afterward. But when he returned to the field, in the very first test that followed, he batted for nearly 11 hours and scored 226. He'd realized something. From now on, he had to play for two men, himself and Collie. And play he did. He lived and batted without a helmet and without fear. 1968, Swansea, 6 balls, 6 sixes, the first time it was ever done in first-class cricket. He was an enthusiastic gambler who brought the casino to the pitch. Lords, 1973. After a night of heavy drinking that stretched until dawn, he walked out, retired hurt with severe cramps, cured himself with a mix of port and brandy, and finished unbeaten on 150.
He backed down from no one. 1972, Melbourne, a fierce unofficial series against Australia, when the young pace sensation Dennis Lillee greeted him with a barrage of bouncers. Sobers didn't flinch. He counter-attacked, tearing into Lillee for over 100 runs.
I went to carry a message so that Dennis can hear. And I sit next to Ian, and I said, Ian, you got a man in here called Lillee. I just want you to tell him, or to let him know, that I can bowl short, I can bowl quick, and I can bowl bouncers too. So he better watch out for me when he came in. So I thought to myself, well, I've got him. So I ran up the next ball and took the weight off, and Dennis had one big swing.
He's hit him hard and high. Beattie is getting under it, and he's caught.
So at the end of the day's play, walked back into the dressing room again. He said before Dennis could reach the dressing room, just as he was coming up the steps, as this door opened, the bat hit the wall. And he said, That little bastard, I will show him. I haven't really bowled at him yet. I said, well, Ian, you know, he's got the ball, I've got the bat. We'll see.
On his way to a legendary 254, an innings Don Bradman himself called the greatest he'd ever seen on Australian soil. And when fast bowlers tried to intimidate him, Sobers simply grabbed the ball himself, bowling ferocious bouncers right back. As an all-rounder, he didn't just take the heat, he dealt it. Until 1994, when Brian Lara swept a ball to the boundary to reach 375, the cameras didn't just capture the new king, they captured the old one. Sir Gary was there. He walked out onto the pitch, a beaming, joyous man, to embrace Lara. There was no bitterness, only the absolute grace of a man who knew his legacy was untouched by a mere number. The statistics are staggering, but his peers tell the true story. Ian Chappell stated plainly that Sobers wasn't just the greatest all-rounder, he was simply the greatest batter he ever saw. But the final word belongs to the only man ever mentioned in the same breath. Sir Don Bradman, the greatest batsman the game has ever produced, was asked once to settle the debate. His answer needed no embellishment. He is, in my opinion, Bradman said, the greatest cricketer of all time. He didn't just play the game, he was the game. May the greatest ever rest in peace.